And yet, Trump is still attacking Harvard and still saying that they're being anti-Semitic, by the way. Meanwhile, here's another institution that is completely caved and capitulated both to their big donors, but also to the Trump administration. Columbia University. Anyway, speaking of other controversies, let's get to State Department investigating Harvard's eligibility for the exchange visitor program.
We are back with breaking news. The State Department has launched an investigation into Harvard University's eligibility to sponsor candidates for a government-run visa program. This new investigation, the latest clash after months of legal battles between the Ivy League institution and Trump administration. Joining us now, we have NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach. So, Gary, what exactly is the State Department investigating now?
So they're investigating whether Harvard University should be able to allow foreign students to apply or attend Harvard University. Now, this has been a months-long saga. We've seen previously the Department of Homeland Security try to prevent Harvard University from allowing foreign students to apply and attend to the university. A judge had revoked that, saying Harvard absolutely has the right to do that. It's currently on appeal in the Court of Appeals right now. But I want to give you a statement here from the State Department about this investigation. They say, quote, to maintain their privilege to sponsor exchange visitors, sponsors must comply with all regulations, including conducting their programs in a manner that does not undermine the foreign policy objectives or compromise the national security interests of the United States. They go on to say the investigation will ensure the State Department programs do not run contrary to our nation's interests. So in so many of these attacks on higher education we've seen by the Trump administration, we've seen them going about it one way, and then a court gets involved, and then they go about it the legal way. This right here with the State Department investigation is, in fact, the legal way to go about doing this. Now, this is completely separate from Harvard's other lawsuit as it relates to federal funding and the billions in dollars in grant programs that are currently on hold because of the funding that has been cut by the Trump administration towards Harvard. Alex.
A lot of focus on Harvard by this administration. Okay, Gary, thank you so much for that.
Of course, this is because Harvard did not play ball beyond
the university.
Harvard initially played ball with the Trump administration when it came to eradicating anti-Semitism on its campus, but not to the full extent that Trump wanted. And therefore, Trump has taken him to court in this long, drawn-out battle where the administration is trying to revoke all of their grants, their research grants, as a matter of fact, which ironically enough, is like yet another instance where Trump is eradicating one of the last good parts of America. It's like he's anti-immigrant. Immigration is one of the only good aspects of American civilization, at least in contemporary society. He is eradicating these institutes of higher learning by revoking their research grants, which once again, for all of its faults and failures, this is the last thing. Like, this is the one thing that we have. He's basically picking apart and tackling some of the last remaining good things in American society, in American civilization. It does not make any sense unless you just view Trump as a hostile entity to American dominance, or if you recognize the reality that he is so invested in seeing out his own personal grievances, and also simultaneously is completely captive to short-term profit seekers and whatever they think is best. Meanwhile, Harvard still turned around and canceled its entire journal issue on Palestine, citing potential legal liability and anti-Semitism accusations, according to The Guardian. The Harvard Educational Review canceled a nearly finalized special issue on education in Palestine just weeks before publication, citing internal misalignment and editorial process concerns. According to The Guardian, contributors and editors say the decision came months after mounting pressure from Harvard Education Publishing Group, driven by fear of legal liability and potential accusations of anti-Semitism. And it's strange because, this kind of stuff doesn't work anymore. Do you understand? This actually doesn't work. If it did, I would literally not have a career right now. I would not be able to sit in front of you and keep talking. So make no mistake, these guys are basically using the fears of anti-Semitism or the fears of legal retaliation in an effort to do whatever they want to do. I don't think this is actually the panic state of intelligentsia, the panic state of academics and academia. I think it's more so that they like this. They think it's pesky. They don't appreciate this kind of thing. They agree ideologically with Zionism, with the project of Zionism. They recognize that there are too many financial entanglements with big donors who happen to be invested in the continuation of Israel's genocide and Israel's apartheid. That's it. Because I don't think for even a second that these guys, one, legitimately think that this is a real issue of anti-Semitism. Okay? HasanAbi, no offense, you have a big platform, but they can write you off. Wait, what? No, that's my point. That's what I'm saying. What do you mean? I'm saying that in spite of this gigantic platform that I have to openly communicate the depravity of Israeli society and the actions of Israel in continuing apartheid and continuing genocide, in spite of the many attempts from a lot of the pro-Israel advocacy groups to deplatform me, I'm still here. That's my point. My point is that many years ago, this would not happen. Okay? Many years ago, if you were to say Israel's doing a genocide, Israel's a Nazi country, Benjamin Netanyahu's Adolf Hitler, these things would have immediately gotten you branded as an anti-Semite, and you would never be able to hold space in any major platform ever, let alone have a massive amount of influence, command a massive amount of influence over a massive audience. Think about all of the people that you have now come to love and come to appreciate, like Norm Finkelstein. Part of the reason why you never heard about Norm Finkelstein until, after October 7 is because he was blackballed by the Jeffrey Epstein associate / lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, as a matter of fact, from every single college campus for the crime of Norm Finkelstein correctly pointing out that Alan Dershowitz was not only plagiarizing his work on one of his books that he proved beyond reasonable doubt, but he was also plagiarizing wrong information. This is not the opportunity for all the 37-year-olds to say they've known about Norm for so long. Okay, there are plenty of people. There are more people in here that had no idea who the Norm Finkelstein was, but now appreciate him than people who knew about who he was before October 7 and knew about who he is now. Okay. Plagiarism isn't a crime; it's a civil suit, so proven on a balance of probabilities. Dog, I'm using that not as like a legal term. Jesus Christ. I'm using beyond reasonable doubt as like colloquially, I'm using that term. I didn't mean like he proved it in a criminal complaint as a prosecutor for the state. Jesus Christ. And the reason why I was mentioning all of this is because, once again, I'm giving you all these additional examples of how little this like anti-Semitism allegation sticks nowadays in at least the public's eye, in broader American society, but certainly even with like the institutional power that it once used to have, it no longer holds. And therefore, when you see major institutions like this make decisions like this, it's not because they're genuinely fearful of litigation or genuinely fearful of like actually doing something that's anti-Semitic at all, but instead they're doing it because they agree that it's like kind of anti-Semitic to say Israel. Even if the purpose of education in Palestine is not to save Israel, but just the reality when you lay out all of the facts makes people think, wow, Israel. But it was already true they were doing bad things in Palestine, so even back then it had nothing to do with anti-Semitism. Yes, I know. That's not what Dude, do you not understand my point? I'm saying I have been an advocate for Palestinian emancipation for the past 12 years as a public figure. But there were certain things, even if it was true back then as it is now, I could not say due to the fear of repercussions, due to being deplatformed. This is not about me bragging that I was right all along or anything like that. This is me simply stating that things have changed dramatically. And so many people are aware of the depravity of Israel's policies. That's it. And I'm only mentioning my own personal experiences, not in an effort to brag, but to show you that, like, I recognize, I'm giving you a position of authority from my own personal anecdotes about this to explain to you that the dynamic is very different now. The institutional power that an anti-Semitism allegation has 10 years ago was significantly higher as opposed to now, which is why I'm telling you right now, the only reason why they're doing this is because the people that made this decision to cancel this paper did so only because they agree. That's it. And yet, Trump is still attacking Harvard and still saying that they're being anti-Semitic, by the way. Meanwhile, here's another institution that is completely caved and capitulated both to their big donors, but also to the Trump administration. Columbia University. Columbia University has suspended dozens. I mean, it's actually more than dozens. Columbia University has suspended 80 students for the library protest that took place in May. Many were suspended for 2 to 3 years, including people who were about to graduate and had completed all of their coursework. And they were suspended simply for sitting in the library, doing a teach-in. And even when they tried to leave, if you recall, Public Safety and NYPD, as we saw in the images, refused to allow them to leave. They prevented them from leaving. Here it is.
These students are suspended, some even expelled for taking part in campus protests. Ali Bauman has been covering the Ivy League demonstrations and has reaction tonight.
In May of this year, dozens of pro-Palestinian demonstrators filled Columbia University's library in the midst of final exams. It came just about 1 year after students erected an encampment on campus during alumni weekend. Now, the school administration is issuing sanctions to some of the students involved.
News New York that up to 70 people have been disciplined for both demonstrations, with sanctions that include expulsions, degree revocations, and suspensions of up to 3 years.
This is a good first step. There's a lot more to do.
The punishments come as the Trump administration withholds $400 million in federal grants from the Ivy League, which it accuses of continued inaction in the face of persistent harassment of Jewish students.
When the student encampment started at Columbia, I went up there to support the students.
Naz Issa graduated from Columbia in 2020 and is disappointed in their alma mater.
I think it just goes to show, the sort of warped priorities of institutions like Columbia that are more interested in protecting their endowment, their...
Yeah. Columbia University is officially pro-genocide right-wing hedge fund that is masqueraded as an educational institution. That's it. It's so insane. Ironically enough, these guys keep talking about how like this is actually because they want to protect Jewish students. Meanwhile, there are Jewish students that have their degrees revoked for the crime of protesting against Israel's genocide. It's disastrous, dude. It is disgusting. It is disastrous. I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just like, this is straight up villain shit. It's just America on its openly villainous arc, and American institutions openly adorning the villain status.
Donors, their investments, than they are in, standing by their students and faculty.
In a statement, a university spokesperson said the disciplinary actions are the outcome of hearings led by a panel of professors and administrators in which respondents had an opportunity to be heard and make their case. Disruptions to academic activities are in violation of university policies and rules, and such violations will necessarily generate consequences.
Columbia is finally acting like an institution with a backbone. So
anyone who celebrates this decision publicly should be tarred and feathered. Okay? This is crazy. Like, you should be embarrassed. CEO of Diversified Education Services.
I don't think this is about censorship. It's just about basic accountability.
The activist organization Columbia for Palestine said Tuesday the students will not be deterred. In Morningside Heights, Ali Bauman, CBS News, New York.
It's ironic because this is exactly the type of shit that for many years we claimed China was doing. It's also something we have seen throughout history, most notably during Nazi Germany's rise to power, where one of the first targets that they had were institutes of higher learning. They understand the important influential power that these institutes of higher learning have, so they immediately seized control over as much of that as possible. It's ridiculous. People are watching a system that is using mass starvation on tens of thousands of children in Gaza while severely punishing those protesting it. And leadership of the nominally liberal party say absolutely nothing about it or openly cheerleading it. These same party leaders and their media allies will scold you to vote for them a year from now, ostensibly to rein in the authoritarian excesses of Trump. Mins one. Ugh. Very conspicuous excess that they'll never just talk about because they agree with it and they like it and they support it. We are at a moment right now where people are asking themselves, why can't the Democratic Party defend this assault on democracy? And I would submit to you that if you can't draw the line at genocide, you probably can't draw the line at democracy, as Ta-Nehisi Coates correctly called out. If the Democrats don't have any issue with genocide, why would they give up about your liberties being taken away? He was right. That's the maximum bad thing that you can do, that another human being can do. They wrote new rules after the alleged violations were committed. They suspended, expelled, or revoked degrees to some 80 students for the high crime of protesting genocide in Gaza. This is complicity with fascism, nothing less. It blows my mind that this is that they're basically getting away with this without any of these so-called liberals who care about the reputation of these academic institutions. And this comes after, for years and years, Republicans were able to constantly drive discourse about wokeness and cancel culture. They claimed that Colombia was doing what they're doing right now to these pro-Palestine demonstrators. They claimed that they were doing this to like right-wingers and Nazis on college campuses when they never did that. Diversity of opinion was supposed to be protected at all costs, no matter how ridiculous one's position was, no matter how violent one's ideology was, no matter how much that actually genuinely put people's lives in danger. Colombia allowed remote learning for a prominent neo-Nazi that participated in the maskless Charlottesville protest. They allowed him to get his degree after he was outed as being one of the leaders of the Charlottesville Unite the Right neo-Nazi rally. This was under Trump 1. Now that Colombia is actually doing the woke cancel culture bullshit, okay, and cynically using Israel, cynically using anti-Semitism when in fact they're targeting people who are simply anti-Israel, not anti-Semitic at all, no one has a peep for it. No one has any smoke for it. They like it. It's terrifying. It's shameful. The reason why they're doing this is so that you stop paying attention. You feel overwhelmed. You feel scared. You feel like there will be severe repercussions for you, so you never say something. I try to see the silver lining in all of this, and that is that the reason why they're taking this severe an action on people who are not only on the right side of history, but also have done nothing wrong, is because they're terrified. They're terrified that the cat's out of the bag, the toothpaste is out of the tube, that everyone despises Israel, and the pressure amounts every single day on institutions and on as well. So this is a last-ditch effort to try and stop people from exercising dissent by any means necessary, including but not limited to literally jailing people like they did with Mahmoud Khalil. Now, of course, we're going to talk about some other stuff as well, but I wanted to briefly show something from the Nelk Boys. Nelk Boy